Hello everyone, it's Mr. Punquist from Heavy Moonbound, and one of my favorite areas of Call of Duty was the Jetpack Trilogy. To me, they were extremely satisfying shooters with a high skill ceiling and movement that made you feel like you were doing more in every gunfight other than just holding angles and drop shotting. Obviously, this isn't a very popular opinion for COD fans, yet, but through the hate, Jetpack CODs undeniably changed the series at that time and still do today. One thing that stuck with the series from Advanced Warfare forward was the slide mechanic. I mean, sure, it wasn't Ghost, but it didn't feel nearly as good in that game as it did in every other entry after, in my opinion. Plus, the slide really added to the advanced movement, whereas it just seemed useless in Ghost with most players choosing to hide in every nook and cranny a map offered. But before Black Ops 1, the only thing your soldier could do was jump, run, crouch, and prone. That game introduced a dolphin dive, and it was appreciated but very gimmicky, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it did help create PHP Flopper in Zombies and the Scene Enters Dolphin Dive montage. But when the slide was introduced, along with advanced movement, it added a whole new way to engage gunfights. For example, you're holding a hardpoint with two entrances. In a boots on the ground COD, which I would just be calling a boots COD from now on, you'd probably position yourself at an angle with the best cover and pre-aim whichever door you saw the most action coming from. However, with jetpacks and sliding, you can become a more active defender. You can peek the entrances and slide back behind cover when the enemy ends up pushing. To me, this added a way more dynamic feeling to being hill bitch, and it also allowed the chance for said hill bitch to pull off some amazing plays in the likely event that their team can't watch their lanes correctly. This is also totally subjective, but it's just plain fun to slide around the map and gun people, in my opinion. And it is my opinion because, however, unlike me, not all players are dirty rotten jetpackers. I mean, there is a reason why Modern Warfare 2019 was the most popular COD since 2011. And it rhymes with Fruits by the Pound. I mean, and Warzone, but that was, not at launch. And Fruits by the Pound was also used as a main selling point for World War II during its release after the jetpack era. And to be fair, there are nuggets of truth to that feeling. Since COD blew up in boots, it would be reasonable to think that going back / staying with boots would hold a secret sauce that, quote, made COD good in the first place. And to be fair, the more advanced movement / mechanics didn't really slot into the series perfectly. At least in AW's case, the game couldn't handle people moving at that fast a pace. I adore Advanced Warfare, but I could talk for the next hour about how many times I got killed while boosting behind cover, or not even seeing a player because they boosted around the corner to gun me, only to look at the kill cam and see that I was just standing there, because for me I didn't even see them before it was too late. And while this wasn't a jetpack only problem, I mean cameraing's been in the game since at least BO2, the advanced movement definitely exacerbated this problem and made it way more common for the average player to run into. And along with cameraing came another problem that was popularized and abused thanks to the slide. In Modern Warfare 2019, a mechanic called slide canceling was taking the pro scene by storm. I kinda always saw it as a branch off from shot punching in Black Ops 4. Like shot punching and slide canceling were living on the same bit of land, and then eventually due to like natural causes they were forced to split up and then end up evolving differently. The slide cancel revolutionized movement in COD to the detriment of older players. New phases in the CDL like Shotzi and the Tiny Terrors were able to traverse the map and get up in enemies' faces faster than any jetpack COD. This movement was so good that it eventually filtered down to pubs as well. Like I vividly remember getting gunned by people slide canceling around the map in a goddamn kill confirmed lobby while I was going for like platinum subs, just mounted up on a wall and getting just absolutely cameraed every single time. And the worst thing about it was how easy it was to learn. I mean, Joel literally taught me how to slide cancel while running away from gas in a Warzone lobby. So if I could learn it, then literally anyone could. So after all this shit, why would anyone be willing to put up with sliding in future titles? Well, I believe that if done correctly, sliding could enhance the game way more than hurt it. Sliding is still extremely fun to do in game and arguably way better than dolphin diving or like just nothing at all. But the problem is A, the game's engine, and B, how it's implemented. And since I know COD devs are never going to get a new engine or anything that can actually fix the cameraing problem, I'm going to focus on the mechanic. So the main problem with the slide is that currently there's no downside to using it as much as possible, and my first response to that would be to add a slide cooldown similar to the cooldown that BO3 had with theirs. The balance with the jetpack CODs that I feel like no one talks about is that you couldn't be high flying the entire time. If you slid 2 times off spawn, you couldn't jetpack up to a better head glitch or jump yourself out of a gunfight when you were caught sprinting, you were screwed. However, it's not the perfect fix. There are 2 problems I can think of right off the bat. One, slide canceling. Assuming it works the way it does in game now, it would hypothetically only take half your slide charge or whatever they consider it to be for non-jetpack CODs. This would mean that good players could conserve their charge and still get to places faster than most people sprinting, making it the better maneuver. The other problem would be the fact that this charge is only connected to one utility in a boots COD. In a jetpack COD, the charge is used for jumping, sliding, and wall running. But if it's only being used to slide, then there's no reason to conserve it since it's only one action and you won't need it to bail you out as much. So that leads to my next suggestion. What if whenever you slid, it forced you into the entire animation? This would force people to really think about when they were going to slide, and will connect the slide more to a dolphin dive in terms of gameplay. The forced slide will also have a shorter length obviously, so you wouldn't be stuck sliding into your doom if you accidentally click down the left stick or press shift or whatever it is on PC. Now I understand this change would drastically slow down the game, a game which is already full of extremely lethargic players. But my answer to that would be a faster gun up time for subs, ARs, maybe just all guns in general, although I feel like that'd be really detrimental for snipers and LMGs, just really powerful weapons that already have a fast gun up time or are already used by slow players. Well, besides snipers, really just LMGs. I don't know, I would need to think more about that, but I think that would work as like a baseline change for at least subs and ARs so they could play just as fast as before without the slide. But with all those changes, means you could hopefully revert COD back to a sprinting meta as opposed to the slip and slide one that's on currently. This change would also hypothetically keep the slide as an advanced tactic that good players could use to gain the advantage. Going back to that hardpoint example mentioned earlier, this new slide would create a sort of hybrid playstyle where the hill bitch would hold angles until pushed and then could use the slide to either quickly escape or reposition. And you wouldn't be completely useless in the slide animation either. You would still be able to hip fire and with certain attachments/perks maybe aim down sights, which obviously wouldn't stop your slide in this situation. So people could potentially get really good with the slide mechanic without that meaning just slide to win. I think the competitive COD player Aches said it best, that sliding is fine in COD if it's used for disengaging/maneuvering and finessing, but the fact it's being used to engage every gunfight due to how fast and camera breaking it is, it'll always be a broken mechanic. And while I don't completely agree with the sentiment that it will always be broken, I do believe perfecting it is one of the first steps COD needs to take to bring the arcade back to the arcade shooter. However, like I've mentioned hundreds of times in different areas all over this channel, I'm not a developer, and I obviously don't know the inner mechanisms of the 3, technically 4 if you count Raven with Warzone development studios. I have a ton of respect for them for even releasing playable games every year, given the short time each developer gets between them, and the even shorter window they get with balancing post-launch. Like everyone else who does overblown commentaries like these, I'm really just trying to take my salt and use it to melt the proverbial snowy driveway that is a game series I've invested way too much time into, yet still can't fully quit. But anyways, this is Mr. Punquist from Everyone Bound, signing out. I will see you guys next time. Also, quick little side note, I know we've been posting a lot of COD recently. I hope to change that in the very near future, hopefully this week. There will be an extra bonus Bite the Crucible at some time out this week, probably either Thursday or Saturday, I honestly don't know at this point. I just feel really bad about how much COD I've been posting, even though this is called Heavy Ammo Inbound, so hopefully I can fix that. And I also have a few more ideas for commentaries, for example another spin foiled, so hopefully I can get those out soon. I do have another COD commentary too, but I'm hoping to space that one out in between a lot of Destiny content, since we did have a new season after all. But anyways, now I'm out of here. Mr. Punquist, Heavy Ammo Bound, etc., etc.